Lots of love. Love. Got lots of love. Love.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss. Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through! It's just gonna solidify everything within those.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lures, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Inu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Anvil immediately goes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to some more CGL action here. We got our mid-season tournament out of the way. We're back here in the regular season, ready to cool things off on this wonderful Thursday evening with an amazing game here in the Diamond tier. Of course, I could not cover it alone. I've got It's Vert by my side. Vert, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. It's great to cast. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, exactly. You know, first time caster here. This is why CGL is great. You can learn any and all roles here in production, so don't be afraid to reach out if you really got an interest in doing something. Takes all kinds of people to make the games happen, including but not limited to the teams you see here. You got Tormenting Tentacles up against the Emerald Eagles here. 2 teams, you know, they had that little bit of a bye week, not in the mid-season tournament at all here, so maybe they've just had some time to get some rest and relaxation in and maybe just enjoy some Overwatch.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the break will be very beneficial for these 2 teams, specifically, you know, coming off of a rough first half of the season. But getting a chance to take a break going into the new patch with Season 13 might give them a chance to give some weird looks going into it. So, I mean, I don't know what we'll see. Both teams are on a really diverse set of compositions, so it's going to be interesting.
I couldn't agree with you more. It always gets fun when we see these teams and what they end up running here. You know, just because there's so many different variables, like you said, that Season 13 patch coming in hot and spicy, taking Sombra, surprisingly, to a very shallow grave, some might say, is the early indications. But you got some other interesting changes that came out in there as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a big thing, especially for lower tiers like this, the Ramatra change is going to be very interesting. I've seen a couple of different comments on what it's going to look like with terms of Ram. You know, some people are saying that he just destroys shields now. Some people are saying his pummel ability is completely ruined and they ruined the character of the game. But I mean, just seeing how each team, you know, has their own style of play to it and adding the, you know, different changes and seeing how they deal with it is always a good time, you know, regardless of however it works out.
Exactly, we'll have to see if any power players will pick up that Ramatra or, maybe if they opt into other tanks here. But to do that, we do have to get a look at these teams, a little bit of a magnifying glass, if you will. So starting with the Tormenting Tentacles here, their starting lineup, it's looking a little bit crispy. You have Vinsary and Flare on that DPS line. You got Wolf being the reliable tank here, and Vixen and Frog, those supports. I mean, who do you expect to carry this squad right now?
I would definitely watch out for the Tracer player. A team of mine, Ace of Spades, played them a couple of weeks ago, and despite their win in their favor, they did have a hard time keeping control of that. So, I mean, just keeping an eye on the Tracer and Sombra might be a good way. If that's what they come out on, obviously off the Sombra player patch, we won't know, but I'm pretty sure the Tracer is still going to come out pretty strong here for Tormenting.
Absolutely can't expect it. We will have to see if their opponents on the other side of things, the Emerald Eagles, can deal with that. Of course, we've got Happy and Killerman on that DPS line, Masagaki on that tank, and then Sinari and Easy Bro on the supports, and we looked at DPS last time. Do you think it might be that Brig play that sort of keeps that Tracer in line?
Assuming that's what they come out on, I'm hoping that, as a Brig player myself, they're able to keep it in track. I mean, we'll just have to see how it plays out.
We will have to see here, but it's two squads going up against each other, trying to get some extra wins on the board. Like we said, you got regular season to play here, but it's you have a few weeks, but time is starting to run out. So teams, this is going to be the period where you're going to have to see people start locking in if they want a chance at those playoff spots at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better time to really pick it up than the halfway through the season. I've seen a lot of teams start out really strong in the first half and then kind of dwindle out because they feel on top of the world. Meanwhile, these smaller teams like Emerald Eagles, for example, they could creep out a couple of wins, make the end of season playoffs, go into it with some momentum and shock some teams. So don't count either team out yet. I mean, there's still a second half of the season to play.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more here. But, speaking of play, I think they're ready to get things underway here. So we can actually look towards our first map here. If I'm not mistaken, we are headed to Control, and it's going to be Ilios kicking things off since we have that week 5. We're back in the set map pools, not everybody getting to pick the maps all willy-nilly here. And, just initial impressions, this is looking like a very dive-heavy pool.
It is a very, very much a dive favored map pool. Ilios, you can run a lot of different combinations. You could run an Echo Mercy Pocket. I've seen a couple teams do that. You could also run the Tracer with the Genji potentially. Hollywood's the same. I feel like Throne of the Nubis is probably where we'll see most of the brawl, and kind of like if Arista is going to come out at any point, I feel like it'd be Throne of Anubis. Colosseo, you can go back to that dive, and even Dorado is a lot of dives. So I mean, we'll just have to see how teams do it, especially after the mid-season patch. But I mean, who knows what we could see. I expect a good amount of dive today, though.
I would absolutely love if we could get to that map 5, not just because it means it's a good game, but it also means we get to see some of those reworks in action, see how it all pans out here. But honest to goodness, like you were saying, right, but with what these teams want to run, whether it is the dive, whether we see things like the Orisa, right, because the general consensus is there's this stable meta of Orisa right now, just with the Juno Brig backline. Slight nerfs to both of those, but still just being stable enough. But the great thing about coming down to Diamond, people are like, oh, they're just, not as good or stuff. No, they're willing to adapt. They're willing to change. And if somebody's really good at something, they can make things work here. So it really is going to be all eyes on pretty much every single player here. Everybody has that pop-off potential in these matches to really become a star.
Yeah, and who's going to step up? Next man up mentality. Who's gonna make a play?
I mean, I literally could be anybody. That's the great thing here. But as we are getting our first look at beautiful, beautiful Ilios here, the sun is setting both here in NA as well as in, I think, Greece. That sounds right for Ilios.
I think so. I'm not going to fact check you.
You know what? Listen, there's boats. That's all that matters here. But we're getting some beautiful shots. Hey, listen, speaking of those, roles, shout out to our observers. They're great. Not tonight though, because it's Headrammer and Hippie. I like to bully those guys.
Boo.
But one thing we don't have to boo. Looking at these team comps, what are you already seeing?
Well, I'd be very shocked if they came out on this dude Bastion, but I'm not going to rule it out. I think that'd be pretty interesting. I do feel like the Tormenting Tentacles have the more reliable and stable comp. They're going to get a lot of stability out of it. I'm not loving the Mercy Lucio, though. I hope they don't stick to that. Oh, they're coming out on it.
The Mercy Lucio, it could be, you know, very interesting. And the Sombra is in play, despite a lot of belief that hero may be gutted. So as the teams are getting ready to clash, slap into each other in the middle here, it will be sort of this test. We're on board with the Bastion now. Actually going over to the Sombra, who immediately comes out of Invis, removed from the fight here. It's just going to be all over just like that. Emerald Eagles cleaning things up. They are able to remove the Bastion, but not much else here. And that'll be first cap going to the Eagles.
Well, yeah, I mean, the difference of compositions here, you can really see with the Mercy Lucio. They're not able to sustain their players long enough to live. I don't think the Bastion pick's necessarily the greatest, but running the better support lineup with the Brig and Juno allows a lot of stability, and they're going to be playing fast here.
Yeah, I mean, it is just stable. That source of healing is going to be so crucial here. Now, you're seeing the Sombra go in again, get some nice damage onto the Junker Queen, as well as a hack, but that nerf means that the duration of those cooldowns is just right back at it here. Now the Bastion coming low out of turret form, able to go down at the hands of Flare on this Ashe, looking for a second one. Now the Tracer has to hide, but is being met on both angles. The Sombra now in play here, going to take their own life before actually getting the Juno in it as well. Now a very healthy Wolf on the Orisa, simply walking forward, nobody able to stop anything that's going here, but Frog is going to fall here, and despite the respawns, it seems like Tormenting Tentacles are just going to have to wait.
Unfortunately, they're just going to have to wait. It was a great hack onto the Bastion. I think that's who they need to be prioritizing for the targets as you get a little bit of chip damage in. Oh, that's a big pick.
Massive pick from the Junker Queen here. The Ashe is gone. That pulse bomb stick does everything and more. And wait, it sticks with the Mercy but kills the Sombra. Somebody might want to look at how that one happened here. Now it is just walking forward, trying to get the Orisa. See if you can kill the immovable Warhorse.
I mean, again, we're just seeing the huge difference in the speed of play between these two teams right now. I mean, Tormenting Tentacles can't even get a fight right now without getting picked off.
Yeah, they're staggering themselves pretty brutally here. It is going to be a reset. You're heading into the next fight, though. Tons of ultimates for both squads. Vinsiri going to be setting up in a position to, you know, potentially have to touch towards this objective. Ashe now stuck on the low ground here as both teams are just posturing, looking for that opening, that potential. A dynamite at your own feet is going to do a lot, but not enough here as Flare will go down. Now we cap over to the point. We're trying to see how this one is going to break down. You have the Terror Surge on point, incredibly low though is Wolf, cannot live after that, and so with the overtime ticking, members of Tormenting Tentacles are dwindling, and that should be the first round, all Eagles.
I mean, that was just kind of a terrible twist of fate for Tormenting Tentacles. They couldn't even get a single fight. They just needed to get out soon. I'm not sure why we're forcing the Mercy here, but I mean, it's not really the big difference and the key factor as to why they're losing a lot of these fights. Emerald Eagles know the comp that they want to run, and they're just going to play it. I mean, they're setting up their Queen to go in and get a lot of picks. They're using the Juno ring to get in there quick. The Junkrat pick is interesting. I mean, Happy's doing his job just keeping the team occupied and busy. I mean, they're not even looking at the other team. If Tormenting Tentacles would just kind of target prioritize a little bit better on the Queen or even the Tracer, get them out, focus on next, they could probably follow up on the hacks a lot better, but there's just not a lot of follow-up off of these hacks.
Exactly, and you know, it's a world where the Sombra hacks, they come in a lot quicker, right? She can't flank to the backline, set them up as easily, so it's something to keep in mind as there's a hog on the field on well. Be careful. We'll see how much of the 12 hooks one whole gameplay will really be able to set the difference here. As Tormenting Tentacles are walking towards the point, first hook goes in and it gets Zarya! Able to do just that. Now the Sombra forced to translocate away, even with a hack on the hog. It seems like it will not matter. The Tentacles will be backing up as Emerald Eagles gets another first cap.
I think you hit the nail on the coffin right there, Megaraz. They definitely warmed up 12 hooks, one hole, that first warm-up. I mean, they're going to push the incentive here, but again, this backline is really setting the pace for Emerald Eagles right now. I mean, I don't think they've died once. They're just able to keep the fight going on really long, keep it sustained, and allow the DPS and tanks to get some picks.
Allow them to do as they please. That's what any good backline will ever do here. Now the Sombra trying to come in, get a nice hack onto the hog. No follow-up damage as Killerman is able to remove Vixen. That's a support down for the Tentacles here. And being short-handed again, it's just going to be the end of this fight with the damage from Nagasaki and Killer Man being too much. It's overwhelming here. Another fight for the Tentacles, but it seems like Wolf might be able to escape with his Zarya charge.
I don't think they're gonna get out here. Yeah, no, I mean, this is just a murder spree right now from Emerald Eagles and the Tormenting Tentacles. Tentacles look really lost right now and don't look like they even want to get into a fight. They need to be taking different angles. I mean, if they have a symmetric TP, why not, TP to a crazy angle? But I gotta give credit where credit's due to the backline of Emerald Eagles right now, making sure that they're not getting touched. Whenever they are getting hacked, they're just whiplashing them away. So, I mean, they're doing a really good job right now.
Massive here, but it is going to have to be answered by Tormenting Tentacles to come back on this round here. The Junkrat spam just giving the Zarya some early charges. The Riptire goes out looking for something, will find Vixen removed from the fight after a nice pick from Nagasaki as well here. It seems like it's all red all the time here as they get another team fight under their belt.
That was just a good tire, good setup, patience. They were able to catch Tormenting Tentacles on the rotation. I know tire's kind of like a troll, ultimately you might only get one or two, but if you're able to get a pick early in the fight before you can set up, it's really big, and that's exactly what they did.
Absolutely massive here. Now a pulse bomb's gonna get two! No bubble, nothing from the break to save that one. And it was only 8% to go here. The Reaper Flare trying to do what they can. Have to dodge the hook from the Hog, able to do it successfully. Now it's about trying to get some of this health back off of the Reaper, using that Wraith Form incredibly early. There's no help coming though. There's nothing else but delaying the inevitable here as Emerald Eagles will take our first map in a dominant fashion.
That wasn't even close. I mean, all jokes aside, obviously, I feel like the star of that whole map is probably the tank, Nagasaki, as Sonari gets to play here. But really, just the difference in play between the two teams in terms of backline comps, it really goes to show you how diverse this meta has allowed teams to practice. I really do think we're going to see different compositions here, basically pretty much depending on the map, but really good first map by Emerald Eagles. Let's just see if they can carry the momentum going into Hollywood.
Yeah, that's something we will have to wait and see on, but it really, like you said, they just sort of knew their own game plan. They stuck to it, did what they needed to. They adapted as they saw fit. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Tentacles, right? It seemed like they just had this level of hesitancy across anything they wanted to do. And I'm not, trying to attribute that all to one person. I feel like it was a team-wide effort where they just sort of allowed themselves to get picked over and over again here. So potentially just a playstyle adaptation that needs to occur. Maybe get their head back into the game a little bit, just focusing up. But, with displays like that, I mean, Emerald Eagles, they seem like they just sort of have it all figured out right now.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully going into map 2, the nerves and the jitters are gone. Maybe some of these players haven't been casted before, and that's kind of a big deal within the CGL community. So hopefully going into map 2, they kind of shrug that off and just stick to their game plan. But, I think I would like to see, Tormenting try to stick together a little bit. And like you said, not, die before fights even start. Stick together in rotations, try not to peek when they don't have to. And because on the first map, they were getting good setups. They were getting picks here and there between their DPS. They just need some follow-up from the rest of their team, and I think they'll be good.
Exactly, especially with, I just want to highlight back to that Sombra play, right? We talked about the rework and how, while Sombra, why does she feel so different, right? To break it down for you at home in case you've been living under a rock, Sombra's whole identity has changed. She's gone from a flanker DPS like a Tracer or a Genji to she's now more of a frontline brawler, right? Your Sombra doesn't want to be translocating into the backline. She doesn't have enough stealth, enough time to live. She wants to be in the thick of the fight, probably alongside your tank to not only call out those hacks, but then finish up any low HP targets. She can get a double damage boost with her opportunist ability, and it's just so many opportunities that can be afforded to you that way here. But it is going to take some time for the Sombra players to adapt, and so that's why I find it very interesting that we're seeing the Sombra play sort of come out here, but it does come back to that coordination.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think the new Sombra, despite her identity kind of being killed, can be just as effective. They definitely want Sombra players to lean more into that tank buster role, kind of like a Reaper, but you still have more mobility than a Reaper would. Well, you still have more mobility than a Reaper would with a Translocator, I'd say, and so it still adds that flanker-esque. You just have to play faster. With the last Sombra, you could kind of hide in stealth, take your time, and be patient. This one, you have to be decisive with your picks and coordinate it as a team. But if you can make it work, I mean, I think it can, really be deadly.
most certainly can be deadly here, but the question is, can it be deadly on a Hollywood, right? We talked about heading into this, we expect this to be a very dive-heavy map. We know how aggressive those high grounds can be here, and I think this could actually potentially play into Tormenting Tentacles' favor. You know, they had that Ashe play and things like that, but we'll have to see if their Ashe player is still in the lineup, as both these teams have made some substitutions. That's a great thing. You know, when you got deep rosters, you can sort of swap people in and out as you please. And so Frog and Flare have switched between DPS and support.
Interesting. Maybe this is a practiced, you know, swap. Maybe they have a potential plan with this. We will be getting Austin coming in for Emerald Eagles, as they're making a swap there as well. It looks like they took out their Geno player, so I am really curious to see what they're going to be playing on Hollywood here. But I am curious about Frog and Flare switching.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple things. This could indicate there, but you know, we're just gonna have to wait and see exactly. You know, potentially just one of those things where if a player's feeling an off day, you switch up roles, you do what you need to do. But yeah, like you said, that Juno player, the backline was so crucial there for Emerald Eagles, keeping them alive throughout that first map, just sort of making it so they didn't have to worry. They never had to sort of fear for their lives in these engagements. So, you know, to change up that chemistry when it would seem to be working so well and left you in a dominant fashion, I mean, sure, you may have practice strats, but it might be a little bit foolish.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes, you know, being on tournament teams, being on teams we've played, sometimes you just gotta try things and see if it sticks. Obviously, you don't prefer to do that in games, but you know, if it works, it works. And sometimes you can throw a curveball at a team and catch them off guard. So maybe it's practiced, maybe they've seen success with it, maybe they're just trying something out, because why not? I mean, you know, can't get much better than last game, right? I mean, sorry, can't get much worse than last game. So we'll have to see what coming out onto this map they have planned, but I am excited. Hopefully they pull out that Ashe on first point and second point, because Flare can definitely, well, Flare can't hit shots on Ashe because they're on support. So we'll have to see, but I was hoping to see the Ashe.
Yeah, but I'm sure Frog is more than capable if it is called for, right? Because again, you know, lots of high grounds, lots of oppressive spots for hit scans to sort of take over the battlefield here, especially across second point. But, you know, there's spaces on both first and third to work with here. But again, it's sort of that time will tell thing, and I think this will also be a good indicator for the other side, right? Emerald Eagles, you know, we didn't see a lot of hit scan coming out from them. They just sort of relied on their tracer play. A lot of other heroes you saw popping up in the kill feed, so you know, we'll have to see if they are prepared to match at that level of hit scan, or you know, potentially this could be a weakness that can be exploited.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have to watch and see how it plays out. I'm curious to see if they're going to try to force the queen on this map, Emerald, because they do love that queen, but I mean, we'll have to see what kind of approach they go with. We could run some Orisa. You could even try to pull out a sneaky sim and try to TP first point if you want, but typically it's protocol to, oh, we're coming out on the Reinhardt with Tentacles here. Okay. Interesting. Well, we're definitely going to see a pretty aggressive defense here. We're running the Moria on a backline, which is not a lot of speed, but a lot of sustain, so it will allow the Reinhardt to be playable. Whereas on Emerald Eagle's side, we are definitely seeing more of that dive. I'm assuming they're probably going to come out on the Diva. I would love to see this Widowmaker. I love Widows. I love good Widows.
Good Widows, you know, it feels like a rare thing to actually come by here, but Happy trying to live up to their Overwatch esports namesake potentially here with some crispy shots would be interesting to see as we're seeing the spawn rollout occur now. Like you said, the defense, they're going to be setting up with a lot of this junk spam. They have the Soldier 76 to rain damage in as well here. It will be a nice pick, removing Happy from the fight. Not so good of a first outing for the Widowmaker, but this Ana is under pressure, will finally die at the hands of Killerman. And so now you are in a 4v4 situation, but the Moira is under pressure, dropped so incredibly low. This Diva needs to be addressed, and it seems like they are able to get them out of the mech here. Wolf swinging that hammer takes the Venture out as well here. So now we're seeing Frog just get the throw. Junkrat finds no fear in the world, but it seems like the fear might have to be reinstalled as the Baby Diva is able to get the kill here, and all of this cleanup comes through, and Emerald Eagles takes that fight and will get the point going.
I mean, that was a really close fight. It could have gone either way. We did see from the Diva, however, their plan exactly went into Lucio Moya. We're going to get in there, we're going to kill your Ana, and we're going to leave. And that's exactly what they did. And I'm assuming that's probably why Tormenting Tentacles opted to switch onto the Juno.
Juno a bit more survivable, going to hopefully make their lives a lot easier. The Diva Mech now already half HP thanks to the Soldier 76 damage. It's just absolutely not missing right now. Hasn't been converted into a kill though, as the Venture has to burrow underground for their own life. Now this this elevator goes up. It's a two-person trip, but the Tracer recall makes it one at the top. And now this Tracer trying to assess control of the high ground here. Not able to do it as they fall at the hands of Frog. Now down a member, the attackers are starting to falter a little bit here. The Soldier 76 is shooting in rocket after rocket, but on the other side of things, Killer Man on the Venture is doing the same damn thing. This Diva Mech is low, but they do not care because they have the damage to do it and clean up the fight.
That was a really, really, really close fight again. Frog getting the first pick on Happy was huge, and they're going to have to keep doing that because Happy is doing whatever the heck he wants to right now. Fortunately for Emerald Eagles, they have the sustain with the Moria Lucio to stay alive longer. The Reinhardt doesn't have the speed to go in and swing like he wants to. Now have this Juno, it might change a little bit. I need Tormenting Tentacles to stay together because they're getting picks, they just need to finish out the fights.
We'll have to see if they can do that here. Lots of ultimates online for both squads. It will be the Visor pods first. The Pulse Bomb also going wide here. Tons of space being created, but the first pick will actually come at the hands of Happy. Now with the Whiff Shatter as well. It seems like everything's going wrong for the Tentacles, but the tire! The tire from Frog trying to turn this one back, but it is now just a lone Junkrat against a very heavy Diva Mech, and it seems like they won't be able to do it, and that should be the point cap for the Emerald Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good tire. You know, I said in the first map, you don't see a lot of big tires. There we did. Unfortunately, it didn't matter because the fight was over. Tormenting Tentacles opting to switch off the Ryan and going over to Zarya might be able to solve some of their problems. However, I do think he was kind of letting Emerald Eagles play a little too fast as we see the Diva Bomb going in here kind of reckless. We're just kind of dumping ultimates. But again, as I said, they're kind of just letting Emerald do exactly whatever they want to with the speed right now. They need an answer.
They absolutely need an answer here, but it seems like, you know, Emerald Eagles, they've got it all going for them. On the flip side of things, right, for this next defensive fight, Tormenting Tentacles will have both of their support ults, right? So tons of sustain, but you can't sustain if you're dead. Happy removes Flare from the fight to start things off, and things have gone from bad to worse. This payload is just pushing forward. Angles are being encroached upon here. Frog will get a pick onto Happy, though, and this Coalescence should be keeping everybody at bay as the Junkrat gets to work, removes two from the fight, looking for the third. The Venture's on him, but it seems like the Venture will get their pound of flesh before being removed from everything here, and that should finally be a defensive hold for the Tentacles.
I mean, you can see right now on the screen, I know Tormenting Tentacles just won that fight, and that's a good fight. Let's carry that momentum, but that Diva is not allowing the Zarya to get any charge right now. So they're going to have to rely on this Junkrat to continue to get picks because there's no one really be able to contest the Junkrat except for the Diva. So if we can just occupy the Diva's attention while Frog goes on an angle and gets some kills, we might string together some more fight wins.
Happy in a very dangerous position, peeking on this Widowmaker, and it will be a Juno ult coming out in response, but it does not matter because the head is shot and you're dead. The orbital ray still going, but it seems like Emerald will just be able to wait that one out and now engage on their 5v4 situation that came at the hands of their Widowmaker. They are playing a little bit scared, but then Moira, a little bit of a shot will be enough here. The tire trying to do what it did last fight, going to be able to find the Moira, but not much else here for the Junkrat. So now Frog is low. Wolf is incredibly low on this car. Had to run back to the Juno. Is getting that in crucial healing, able to stay alive, keep this energy going here. It is indeed just going back and forth now. You're seeing the Zarya sort of sit on cart, not able to be moved as both teams slamming into each other. Now a bomb into the backline. If there's not a bubble, there is one for Wolf, but the follow-up after was just too much. But the Visor, it seems like finally some stabilization potentially for the Tentacles here. The trading of ults back and forth, it's just too much though. The Soldier 76 can't get it done. Now this Graviton Surge, it can come out at any time here. Do you try to invest in this 1v3? Do you try to wait for your team to get back? Now Flare is missing as well. You're being pushed away from the cart. You have to use this grab now or never. They will be able to get a pick, but not before going down themselves here. It's looking all red here. The Mercy is pocketing this Tracer, trying to keep her alive, but their sources are dwindling. The Tracer had to recall, and it seems like only a matter of time before Emerald Eagles cap the point.
I mean, what a fight. Happy got 2 picks there on Widow in overtime. I mean, that was insane. Tormenting Tentacles were able to shred off 2 minutes. However, it was a very sloppy 2 minutes that they were shredding off. I think the problem is we counterpicked with Zarya, but we weren't able to get charged because Nagasaki did a really, really good job of ensuring that he didn't feed the charge. He ran around. They were pretty much just running laps around them. Espro getting 2 picks on the Lucio in the fight and using the beat to keep his team alive. I mean, that was a really, really good fight for Emerald Eagles, being able to stay alive and really just, again, you know, doing whatever they want. I think if Tormenting Tentacles kind of moved towards more of a poke dive or more of a stabilized sort of brawl, they would be able to sustain these fights longer. I think at this point, your DPS are getting picks. You just need to stay alive.
Staying alive could be crucial here, but, you know, looking at these comps, it seems like potentially that the Tentacles are not opting into, you know, the full survivability that they could, instead just trying to value their DPS and give them a little bit of the boost with the Mercy.
If you wander off, I can't protect you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, setting up with the Mercy here, I expect that they're probably going to pocket the Soldier, and to the Soldier's credit, he has been hitting a lot of shots, so that is really good for them. The Juno, I do prefer the Juno here over a Brig or Lucio or anything. It allows for more sustain, more of a ring to get out, and more healing if you play close enough. Emerald Eagles coming out on defense with the Sig, however, is a good pick. I would like to see how Happy does on this Ashe. He was hitting some nasty shots on the Widow.
Old Tanks opting out of the high ground, but the Sigma already getting a pick. My goodness.
God.
Lincoln, you miss it. This fight's already over. You are able to remove Happy from the fight, which is nice, but it seems like it is just going to be now the Zarya staggered out and left alone.
I mean, they didn't even have any speed. They just sat there, let Tormenting Tentacles walk in. You know, Sig getting an early pick on the Zarya was huge there, or not the Zarya, sorry, the Soldier. Whereas Killer Man coming out of the Junkrat and said, anything you can do, I can do better, and getting 2 picks in the fight himself.
Absolutely massive. Now it is Frog trying to play a little bit of that pharmacy combo, realizing Happy has to be the one to hit the shots on the other side of things. We will have to see how much value that really gets here. Some nice rockets is going to scare Emerald Eagles at least away from the choke. This should buy some space for the entry of the Tormenting Tentacles here, but they're going to need more than entry, and it seems like they're already out of it. They have down 2. A nice little Resurrect will bring Flare back into the fight, so you have your support, but your Soldier 76 is going to be MIA.
Yeah, it's going to take a minute for the Soldier to get back. However, oh my god. I can't even say anything without someone dying. The Pharmacy comp I do like because they are not running a pocketed Ashe. If we can get our Zarya and our Soldier set up and have a Fargo on an off angle, we might see some success. But it looks like they're just determined on forcing the fights pretty much whenever they want to, rather than taking the time, waiting for a cooldown to come out, identifying the weakness, and then going in. They need to play a little bit more patient.
I don't know if this tire will allow patience, as it's already going to find the Soldier 76. Vixen removed from the fight with some damage from Austin Creed here. And Emerald Eagles will get another defensive fight win. This Farah going in a little bit deep, though. Not done with the fight just yet. Saying, I don't care if I don't have my Mercy. I can still do something. Able to take out Junkrat before finally they cost themselves their own life.
That's a good pick on the jump there. If they can regroup, they might potentially have another fight here with the Juno ring. However, Happy with this Bob, I know he's ready to pull it. We'll see what happens with this Flex, but you know, a lot of the Bob buffs coming out has kind of made him an unstoppable tank. It's like having 2 tanks. It's 6v6 again. So I am really curious to see where he places this year.
It would be interesting if it's aggressive or if they try to wait to throw it out on the point. Only time will tell here. Tons of ults for both squads to work with in this fight. So everything can be a lookout here. You're seeing the Gravitic Flux to start things out. Dropping the Zarya incredibly low. Finally followed up onto. And the Juno actually uses the orbital ray before succumbing to their own death here. So now that might be a wasted ultimate. The Sigma dropped so incredibly low, but that immortality field is going to keep them alive. And now a barrage is going to be able to find Happy, but not much else, as the Pharah is going to be removed from the air with a few well-placed grenades. And it seems like for the time being, the defense has stabilized on this. We're grabbing when you're still low HP. I don't know what we're doing. It seems like Tormenting Tentacles are just throwing everything into the fight for no reason. You're able to get one pick on the Soldier 76, but it seems like it's just not worth it.
I mean, I don't even know what to break down there. I thought they went back to spawn, and I was about to sit here and say that was a good fight for Tormenting Tentacles because they were going to come back with ults and they were going to be ready, but they just dumped everything. I mean, I see that they're swapping, but there's 30 seconds left. You should have used your ults first and then gone quick and see if you had another fight to switch.
Well, that might be their downfall here, as now, while they wait for Frog to get back, they have to start getting onto this objective, but Vixen is already missing. That's a source of healing gone. Tons of tools for Emerald Eagles to work with here, as you're seeing the Junkrat spam damage now. Another Riptire coming online here. Nobody's going to be able to look or focus it down, and it gets 2 for its troubles here, and it seems like Austin will not falter today on the Iari. And that'll just be all she said and done. Emerald Eagles move to match point.
I mean, that was a really, really, really dominant defense by Emerald Eagles. But going back to that second to last fight, I understand if Tormenting Tentacles maybe want to potentially, you know, use those ults and swap real quick because of his last fight. Personally, if you had waited and regrouped and gone in with more ults than what Emerald Eagles had, you might have potentially won that fight and swung it your way. And if you didn't, you die quick enough, you go back to spawn, you switch, and you still get another fight.
Yeah, it just seems like some misplays coming out from the Tentacles, but on the flip side of things, Emerald Eagle, they're looking confident across a variety of different compositions, and they're looking strong as well here. A great showing from them so far in this match. They've really been able to sort of keep Tormenting Tentacles at bay and just sort of thwart anything they want to do. I think something that didn't get highlighted in that match that I feel like is important to talk about, right? That Baptiste Yari backline, it does so much damage. It just adds an extra factor to any composition when you're able to run it, and it just looks so damn good.
Yeah, I mean, the backline for Emerald Eagles, I still haven't seen them die in the feed once yet. I'm sure they have, but, you know, just to give them their credit, they've been doing a remarkable job. And as a main support player, I mean, I'm just loving the bat play. I'm loving the break play. I'm loving what they've been doing and how they've been able to stay alive. There was a moment, a split second during the second to last fight where Magasaki got really low, but the BAP Emor was right on time. And it's those small things in support that you don't see that really do make or break a good team in a good game.
Exactly. Well, while we could, you know, praise the Emerald Eagles all day long here, I figure we might as well sort of rest and relax, give the Tormenting Tentacles a break, let them catch their breath, figure out some strategies heading into the back half of this series. So if you'll bear with us for a minute, loyal viewer, we'll throw it to a break, but make sure to come back on the other side of things because you want to see how this match ends. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you were able to go get some water, maybe get a snack. I know I sure did. I got some water here with me here because these first two maps have been quick and fast, so they've been draining all the energy out of us. Of course, reintroduction. I'm Megalast. That's it's Vert. And Vert, if you just want to tell people at home how it's been going in this match.
I think it's definitely been one-sided so far. Emerald Eagles, we talked about it off stream, probably playing with their food a little bit with some of their picks, but it just seems to be their game at this point. A lot of dominance. The back line has just been unstoppable for Emerald Eagles and all night, and it really just seems like for Tormenting Tentacles, they just can't stay alive long enough to capitalize off their picks. So we'll have to see how they regroup going into Throne.
We will have to see if, this 5 minutes proved helpful for them. Maybe let them get some clarity here. But, speaking of clarity, there could be some, clairvoyance occurring within the roster swaps. Maybe somebody has seen something, figured something else out here. As we're being told, both teams have things. We have Charming coming in to play support. It seems like, I cannot remember. Flare has just set themselves out the entire time. And now we have Sinari coming back into the lineup here, but we've actually switched out multiple members of our support line now, so it is still a brand spanking new support duo in terms of Sinari as well as Austin, but we'll have to see if they can keep that magic going.
Yeah, it'll definitely be very telling to see what kind of switch ups they're bringing into this map. I expect to see a good amount of Orisa going into Throne. That's where we see it the most. You could also pull out the Queen again if Magasaki's feeling it. I expect that we might see some Brig Juno, considering we're bringing back in Sinari, but we'll have to see.
Exactly. Throne of Anubis, the clash mode, it's all about the brawl all the damn time. So, it's absolutely expecting to see that here, but again, only time will tell if these teams actually want to run it or if they've maybe thought up something else. But the clash mode, it's so controversial, right? We're officially a season on from it being introduced into Overwatch here. Throne of Anubis especially has been considered a little bit heinous just with some of the blazing fast cap times we see, but there were some adjustments to it. But in this patch here, do you think that could potentially try to stop this snowball going one way?
Well, I think the respawn changes will probably help a couple of teams out. The biggest thing on Clash is just knowing when the fight is over, taking a second and regrouping. That's really what makes a difference. But if you try to force the initiative and you try to force the fight whenever, however you want to, sometimes you're going to get staggered. That's just part of the game. But hopefully the respawn changes help out a little bit.
Hopefully, but it is simply a wait and see on that here as we are heading to the Throne of Anubis. Potential reverse sweep starting here for the Tentacles here. They do have to materialize it on this map though. And this is an interesting map because again, right, you take old Temple of Anubis, you bring it to Throne, you actually get to see the Anubis AI, the lore, Overwatch
Right.
lore. It's not dead, I promise. There's stuff going on.
Maybe.
Maybe sort of kind of if you close your eye and don't think about it. But yeah, there's tons of different things that are cool about this map here, but I think the coolest thing is that I do see a wrecking ball.
A wrecking ball. That is interesting. I do believe that this is probably the comp they're going to come out on because it looks very much like a dive comp. Killer Man says anything you can do, I can do better, like I said last time, and it looks like he's just going to pull out on the rat. I am interested to see if the Sombra play is any better on this map, however. Oh no, going back to Queen. Ooh.
I was going to say, the fact that you knew there was a Sombra on the other side, the ball would have been an interesting choice to say the least here. But nope, Junker Queen will be the name of the game for Magasaki. Meanwhile, Wolf back onto that Zarya, the comfort pick of choice here for Throne of Anubis here. It is going to be a nice little hack onto that health pack, but the Sombra is found out here, so a little bit of pressure, forcing her back to the rest of her team. But she's actually going in, able to find a pick onto the Kiriko, and now with a second one onto Happy, but it is traded out. 3-for-3 situation here on the point. Now you have both teams going back and forth. That Junker Queen so incredibly low. The Sombra seeing it through the wall. Opportunist, striking opportunity potentially here for the Tormenting Tentacles as they're able to get that pick. Now looking for another onto the Junkrat. So low HP, nothing left in the bank on that one. It seems like Tentacles have finally got a fight under their belt.
that is definitely one way to throw Emerald Eagles off the map, getting a late pick there at the end, and that was the most complete fight we've seen, despite it being a little sloppy. If that backline can live just a little longer and honestly let Sombra do his thing, they might have a couple of more fight wins here. But there's a lot of good follow-up from the Sombra on the hacked targets that fight.
Exactly, amazing opportunity there. So now we are finding ourselves on point. The Emerald Eagles on the back foot for the first time, but they're not going to stay there for long. This pick on the Frog is massive. Now the Baptiste under pressure here from the Tracer, but the Junkrat trap will actually make it so Happy is the one found out here. So Frog from the grave able to do a little bit of help here. But this point D is already being captured for Emerald Eagles. This Zarya trying so desperately to get some charge. It seems like the Junkrat is not prepared to feed her though. And with Killer Man getting pick after pick, it seems like we'll be heading back to the middle.
Yeah, and I mean, right there, that just shows the reason why Emerald Eagles want to run the Queen here. They just run in with either Shout or Lucio Amp, and they just go in and kill the back line. Nice pick from Awesome Creed onto Wolfpack as well. But just the added speed, and nothing's really slowing them down. I mean, at this point, Tormenting Tentacles, like I said, you need to rely on the hacks and the Junkrat spam, because the only thing that is going to slow that rush down is some Junkrat spam and some hacks as well. So they really got to be looking to creep up there.
Junkrat spam already proving effective, as you're seeing Frog now get found out on this side angle, trying to put in some of that work. Some ults to work with, including the EMP goes out, hacks everybody up. A pulse bomb detonated just for good measure here, but it seems like already Tormenting Tentacles have advantage in this fight. That'll be another pick, taking the Queen out of it here. Killer Man though is not done without a fight. The Junkrat has secured 2, is still alive and kicking despite being hacked up here. Now having to meet with the Junkrat on the other side of the point. They take each other out in a bizarre occurring of events. So now it is just the Baptiste versus the Tracer. But again, Happy finds a trap at the worst possible place at the worst possible time. This Baptiste needs some help living, forced out the immortality field. This Tracer is trying their best to get this pick, but it seems like they're not going to be able to. Now a sound barrier coming in too late to save Nagasaki. Frog dedicating this Riptire, trying to see if it can come up with the picks to end this fight. Finally in its favor, it will get Sonari, so now that is the healer removed. You have Vincere on the Sombra trying to remove the second one. A last second fade will keep that Moira alive for the time being, but we'll have to see how much longer it can keep going. This fight, it's never ending. It just goes on and on here on Clash, but it seems like once Killer Man is going down here, this should finally be the fight starting to tick in Tentacle's favor.
Well, I mean, we'll have to see. It's still a messy fight and it's anyone's game, but honestly, big ultimate here. They're going to commit here.
The commitment into a Junkrat trap means that the Junker Queen will be missing. That ult will come out in vain. You were able to get the one on the Vixen, but it's just not enough after that. And this low charge Zarya gets the job done and keeps Tentacles in the lead.
The best thing for Tentacles there was the fact that Emerald Eagles committed so many ults in that fight. I mean, look over on their side. The only thing that they're going to have here is Tyre, and I know they could do something big there, but Tentacles needed to pour ultimates in that fight to win. Emerald didn't. They could have been on the back foot, and they could have held their ultimates and sent it back to the middle again. Big pick onto the Brig.
The Brig missing now. Emerald Eagles short-handed. That cohesion and everything that they've had going for him is gone. Now Killer Man up into the arms of a waiting Sombra. Vincere doing what they need to do. Point D is under assault by this attacking team. Wolf will go down. That Zarya finally gets reset. It will be another one on the Vixen here. Nagasaki trying desperately to keep their team in this one. They're going to be able to do just that with a third pick from this Ramatra. Not ready to go down without a fight.
I mean, that was an incredible fight for Nagasaki as Tormenting Tentacles tried to move in, getting 2 picks to start the fight. The fact that he was able to live and get some kills here was huge. I think we're starting to see some cracks in the backline's armor as Tormenting Tentacles, their DPS duo, are starting to get some picks onto them, but I think the game plan for Tentacles needs to stay the same. The moment Emeralds come, so they get a couple picks here and there, you try your best to live.
You will try your best here. Now pushing back into the center point, right? You have to worry about so many ultimates on the side of Tentacles. They're zooming forward here. Hack is the Ramatra. Nagasaki cannot get those arms up in time to live. A Graviton plus Tyre left, right, and center. Everything's happening in this fight, including an EMP. But all of the ults is just indicating that the side of the Tentacles is coming out on top. They invested more, and they're going to get rewarded for it with another point. rewarded for another point here as we are just going into our next one. Back onto point D, very similar situation we've been in before here. Vinsiri trying their best to, look for another opening angle here. Is able to get a nice hack out of the far and remove them from the fight. Able to get out cleanly as well. A nice little reveal at the end is not going to mean much beyond that here. Now, the coalescence from Vixen trying to help secure a even better advantage for the Tentacles. Not able to do just that yet, but these picks are coming through, and they're all blue in the kill feed right now. It is just pick after pick going their way, and this should be potential map point for the Tentacles.
Sorry, I had technical difficulties, but I'm back now, and I blinked my eyes, and Tentacles are now up 4-2 with only one more point to go. I mean, no ults on this next fight. Honestly, if I was them, I would hold back a little bit. Seeing the far pick coming out is interesting, but I would just hold back a little bit, see if you can get any ults out of Emerald Eagles. You still have some fights.
Still some fights, still some time to work with. A hack onto the Ramatra is not going to be netted with anything but the Sombra running for their lives here. One tick is all that stands, though, between the Tentacles and a win. And Magasaki able to be removed from the fight. Happy does get a pick on the Vixen with Killerman spam, taking the Sombra out of invisibility and removing them from the fight here. This should be Emerald Eagles capping in their own spawn, but Tormenting Tentacles, they're still here. They're still a looming presence and a threat that must be dealt with. As you're seeing this Zarya high charge on point, finally going to be punished, and this should be Emerald Eagles getting control.
And I mean, if you're Emerald Eagles, you need that fight, but what's even better about that is they didn't use a lot of ultimates. They have the Barrage coming up, they have the Tire, and the Ramatra ult online versus Tormenting Tentacles. Honestly, if I was still then, the fight plan for me would be, let's not use any ults, let's not commit. If we get a pick, let's go in, but let's let them use their ultimates because they need to win, not us. Let's take it back to the middle, use EMP, and close this map out.
Sounds like a sound strategy, but will it actually come to fruition? We will have to see. A beautiful sleep dart will stop Vinsiri from following up on that. And just like that, blink and you miss it. Emerald Eagles are sending us back to the middle, where we're going to duke it out for one final point.
That was probably the worst possible scenario for Tormenting Tentacles because they didn't use any of their ults on the side of Emerald Eagles. They have just as many ults coming into this round as Tormenting does, and they don't even have the EMP up yet. If they play fast, this could be over.
It could be over. It's going to be quick, right? Whoever's able to pull the trigger on these ultimates first can be a winner. Happy so incredibly low, but it doesn't matter because the space is being created. Magasaki is going in with this annihilation. Tyra is able to find out Happy that Farah is removed from the fight here, but the Ramatra is in deep right now, and Frog is now missing. Able to use the Marty Dome to get rid of Killerman on the other side of things. But Emerald Eagles currently has a massive numbers advantage. They're controlling the point in a very heavy manner. But Vinsiri is not done yet. Actually able to get one onto the Brig. This could net in more kills here, but somebody on the side of Tormenting Tentacles has to touch, but it seems like the touch isn't going to come through! And just like that, it's over! The C9! Tentacles could have had that fight. They had EMP, they had grab, they had everything going for them, but they just choose not to touch the point.
Not the C9, you hate to see it, Mega Last. That was just an unfortunate turn of events for Tormenting Tentacles to be up 4-2 on Clash and to get lost like that must have been devastating. Full props to the man on our screen right now, Killaman, and the rest of Emerald Eagles to bring back that fight in the first place and for them to be able to win that. But on the side of Tormenting Tentacles, you gotta wonder if they had just used their EMP a little faster, how would the fight have gone?
Absolutely, you wonder how it could have happened, but I mean, full props to Emerald Eagles, right? I feel like that last map maybe shouldn't have been theirs based off that C9, but you take what you can get at the end of the day. Tormenting Tentacles, they definitely had some good bounce back, though, especially there on Clash, to show that they can still, rock and shake the boat and keep a team like Emerald Eagles sort of on their toes.
Yes, I mean, the last map, really good. I'm sorry, I'm seeing on stream, my camera's out, and it's kind of funny, but last map coming, oh, there I am. Last map coming in, they did have some good fights there on the side of Tormenting Tentacles. I think it was really just a matter of, like you said at the start of the game, there was some hesitancy on the side of Tormenting Tentacles, and if they had just kind of pulled the trigger a little more, maybe some more fights would have gone their way, but big win for Emerald Eagles here.
Absolutely massive. And speaking of the Emerald Eagles, we're going to bring in somebody to interview and talk about with that match here. So if you'll bear with us while we get that all set up, we'll see you right back on the other side of this break.
Feel my heart, it's beating. All my body's breathing. It's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beating. All my body's breathing. It's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call.
Alrighty, thank you for bearing with us while we got it all set up. We have found a delectable candidate here for this interview. We have Austin Creed, one of our supports for the side of Emerald Eagles. First things first, to start it off, congrats on the win. How you feeling?
Well, we feel pretty. I feel pretty great. I feel like I speak for the entire team. Like, feel pretty good right now.
Absolutely amazing here. Now, I believe, Vert, you have some questions for our friend about how that win went down.
Yeah, well, first things first, congrats on the win. You guys looked really dominant today. I wanted to ask, I'm a big support guy, so big props to the support tonight. The Brig Juno, obviously it's been meta in pros. It looked pretty practiced today. Were you guys expecting a summer today? And what was the preparation for that coming into today's match?
Honestly, we weren't 100% sure. We've just been running Juno Brig because Sonari's a great Juno, so he's been running that. And then Espero's just an awesome Brig, so we've kind of been running that anyway. We weren't expecting Sombra because we didn't know how the changes would affect her yet. So it was interesting to see that played.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys made some great adaptations. I'm a big player myself, so seeing all those whiplashes onto the Sombra just kind of made me really happy because you guys did a really, really good job keeping the Sombra in check. My second question is, we don't see a lot of Junkrat nowadays. Was the Junkrat like a planned pick, or was that something you guys kind of just pulled out because why not?
I mean, a bit of both. It is definitely it's one of our mainstays, but it's not always part of the plan until it's like the last minute, like pull out the junk. Let's just go with it.
Yeah.
But absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is all for me. I'm gonna pass it back over to Megalas.
Yeah, absolutely. And while this match was nice, getting that another win on the board feels extra good, especially in such a good fashion. You got to start looking at those end of season goals, right? Do you think that even if you guys win out, do you really think you have a shot at taking this whole thing?
I'm taking it. We're taking it one game at a time, but I feel like we're just constantly improving. We were formed a couple weeks before the season started, and every game we've improved. Every week we've improved. So we're taking it 1 week at a time, but that's the site is there.
Hey, listen, that improvement, you love to see it. Well, quick before we have to be removed from the vicinity here. If there's anybody you want to shout out, anything you want to say, this is your floor and freedom to do so.
No, for sure. I just want to shout out my team. We've just great communication, great time. I love those guys.
There has to be one bad egg in there. Come on, someone.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. We're all good. We're real supportive.
Real supportive, real wholesome. Well, speaking of your team, we're going to go ahead, let you go celebrate with them, enjoy that victory, and hopefully we'll be seeing more come out from the Emerald Eagles as the season goes on.
Absolutely. Have a good night, y'all.
You too.
Thank you. Well, Vert, that actually, wraps up our, this nice little evening Overwatch we had. Nice little diamond game here on a Thursday. Nothing too major, too impactful, but hey, it's just fun to see some Overwatch every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game overall. There were a couple of close fights there towards the end, and I really do feel like Tormenting Tentacles started to pick it up. Still seeking their first map win, but I think if they keep leaning on that somber play, they're going to get it eventually. I have no doubt in my mind that they will. Emerald Eagles, though, looked like a well-oiled machine tonight. They looked like they were on page most of the night. I think they might be a team to look out for moving forward.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. But like I said, that is wrapping it up for CGL for the evening. Of course, I'd like to give a big shout out to everyone behind the scenes. You had Echo, of course, running the whole show, Headrammer and Hippie being those wonderful observers, getting those beautiful in-game shots. A rare shout out that we always forget to do, but Bailey, our social media person, she is an angel and a half. She does amazing work for us. Of course, it's been a pleasure to cast with you, Vert, as well. We got to give props to ourselves. But with all that being said, make sure to, follow, keep those notifications on, all that fun jazz, because there's plenty more CGL action. We got plenty of regular season to go. So make sure to not miss out on any of it, because we will see you next time.